It's the July energy update. There's a lot to cover, but let's start with the pineal gland. And we're going to work our way through 7 major points. There's a lot to fit into these 7. The 7th, it's just enthralling because that's the recipe. So often, well, at least in my case, I make something in the kitchen and it's a masterpiece. And then people say to me, what was your recipe? And I'm like, I don't remember it came. I don't know. Can I make it again? I try and it doesn't work out the way I think it's going to. When we shift timelines and we've got the recipe and we know how we did it, we can do it again. We can do it deeper. We can do it more. And that's what point number 7 is going to be about, that timeline shift. And you're going to work through these 7 points and each one of them is part of that recipe. Let's start with number 1 though, the pineal gland opening. The pineal gland opening is what's taking place right now, and it's a natural progression. It's a natural shift that we've always known we needed. The ancients knew the power of the pineal gland. They had depicted the mystery, the mastery within, the inner sight. They knew something about this tiny gland in the middle of the brain that is no bigger than a grain of rice. They knew something magical, mystical lived here, and it did, but we lost access to it. It became calcified. It became locked away from our access. And this is something that I've always said to you guys, that when we were born into the false matrix, we were severed at the crown. The crown and the third eye are the 2 vital places of connection. The third eye is the inward connection, the inner universe. The crown is the divine matrix, the divine universe out there. We lost access to both. But now it's coming online. It's like ascension. Ascension is going to be a coming online of the 5D self. This is a coming online of your inner sight. So as much as this was always going to happen, when it does happen, it's still a little bit of a shock. And so I've created 3 guided meditations: the crown, the pineal gland, the third eye opening. You don't have to do them. If you want support navigating these openings to make it more seamless and more smooth a transition for yourself. And I know a lot of you are overachievers and you just want to deepen the experience. Those guided meditations are there. Thank my family, because I had to pull an all-nighter and be away for the whole weekend from them to do it. And don't get me wrong, I love it. I can do all-nighters. It's a terrible thing to have that creative drive and then miss out on a couple of hours of your life because you just are so engrossed in something. But I digress. The coming online of the pineal gland. This is the sight that we've been waiting for. Because like your eyes, they have rods, they have cones, they have the ability to see the light that is here in the external world. The third eye is equipped with rods and cones too, but it has no means of even seeing the external world. It has no direct line of sight to the external like our eyes do, because of course, this is the part of us that perceives energetic light. This is the part of us that perceives with our eyes closed, but with our senses fully available, fully switched on. So this marks the beginning of a new paradigm, a new era for light workers, now being able to tap into those psychic, intuitive inner senses at a much deeper level. And of course, it's like learning to walk. When you do, you are going to fall and get things wrong and fumble and stumble and think that you're never going to be able to do it properly until, of course, you just keep trying for the thrill of it, for the joy of it. It's just in the beginning phases right now. But why? You might ask, is it coming online right now? Why would the third eye, inner senses, pineal gland start activating now of its own accord? We're not forcing anything open. We're witnessing an opening. It's because we're entering the realm of ether. July is the first time that we're entering ether territory. Ether is what? It's spirit. It's energy. It's the stuff that we say is invisible. And I have to smile when we say it's invisible because, 99, pretty much 0.9% of our visible world is invisible to us. We see less than 1%. In fact, we see 0.0035% of the visible light spectrum. We are technically blind in comparison to what our world is comprised of. The inner sight is coming on, and what the inner sight sees is the world of ether, the world of energy. Now, I will make another video on this, and I will go deeper into this because it really is worthy of a deeper exploration. Our world has ended every 12,000 years. We've had a cataclysmic cycle on our planet by one or other element of earth, meaning fire or flood or earth itself or wind even. But ether is an element that we've been disconnected from. We've been held in a false matrix prison where we haven't had access to frequencies beyond the physical ones. That grid has broken. That veil is thinning. So now ether becomes the fifth element that was always there but imperceptible, inaccessible. Something that we couldn't wield and therefore couldn't use to shape our worlds. Now ether comes online. So as it does in July, unlike June, if you guys cast your memory back and you watched it, the June energy update was all about fire. It was volcanic. And there were a lot of volcanic eruptions in that month. Of course, there would be inner emotional ones as well as external ones. This is where we shift gear and we start to perceive energy. Now, this includes, by the way, when we talk about having an ether month, this includes a month where it can be very windy. There can be hurricanes, there can be cyclones, tornadoes, anything that brings that ether to us. It can be sound because it carries on ether. It can be a war of information, and we'll talk about that a little bit further on, but it's vibration and it's sound and it's wind and it is spirit. So you're going to feel visited. You're going to feel not necessarily watched in an ugly way, but watched in an uncanny way. You're going to feel that you're being observed, and even that isn't quite the right word. It is witnessed. It is supported. It is held. We're just going to start coming into awareness now of all of that which has resided in the ether realm. This age that we're walking in ends in ether. It doesn't end in fire. It doesn't end in flood. And if it ends in ether, it begins in ether as well. And that's where I'm going to talk about New Earth, but that's a whole other video. So the next point for the July energy update, if you watched my eyes cast downwards, it's because I've got a list down in front of me that I've written to remind me of my 7 points. The third one is rest. Rest to realign, rest to decompress, rest because what's going to happen as we move into this new state of being, we're moving into a new energy, we're moving into the unknown, and we're going to read that memo wrong. We're going to read that memo like, okay, we've got a new energy, so now I've got to do a new thing. We're experiencing a new energy, so now I have to meet it, and I have to perform, and I have to learn new things, and do you see what that is? That is the pushing, doing mindset. This is not the time and place for it. This is the unplugging. This is the allowing. This is the receiving. This is the resting place. This is a sacred rest. It's not a passive rest. It's more like a coming into yourself, more like a coming into presence. And you will find yourself wanting quiet time, wanting the stillness, the guided meditation. You will find that even if you're in a weird limbo-like place, because some of us are going to have that experience and it's okay. Think about it. You are bringing ether in and bringing it into your physical world. It's interacting with you. And when that happens, it can feel like you just don't know which way is up anymore, and you just don't know who you are anymore. That can be a limbo-like space, and if it occurs, I promise you it's temporary. Rest into it. Rest into it. Don't think into it. Don't analyze into it. Just be in the beingness. You're going to want those meditations. You're going to want those guided, still spaces where you access yourself, and it's going to be so sublime, and you're going to find a depth in your meditative practice that you have never had before. And you know what? Your best meditative practice is when you're brushing your teeth. It's those moments where you're just performing a routine task, but you're not really thinking about it. You're just kind of in the zone. Watch what happens to you in the month of July when you're in the zone, so to speak. And what I mean by in the zone is out of the head, out of the analytical space. It's just spontaneously going to happen. That you're going to find more still point, not limbo point, still point. Remember, it's okay if we misinterpret it as limbo, but it has a gift for us. There's an expansive openness. It's not an emptiness, it's a fullness. It's an entire new reality spectrum that we gain access to now in this month. Of course, your dream space can be weird and wonderful and wacky and wild. Of course it can, because there's going to be a part of you that now wants to make sense of this energetic world that cannot be made sense of. So just don't hold on to anything. Don't cling to anything. Let everything pass through you. That's the easiest, that's the best way, and stay grounded in that rest space. Rest is not a luxury. It's an absolute life-giving necessity. It is what calls you into wholeness. It calls you into fullness. It calls you into presence. And on that note, here is point number 4, the softening. We're used to fighting our way through life. We're used to pushing in order to get what we want. And those energies of the pushing and the fighting and the elbowing others out of the way, that's going to cause harm. This is a time to soften. It's almost like that's the access point to these higher frequencies that we're now being called into. We've got to soften into them. What is another word for softening? It's surrender. But I use the word softening because so often when I use the word surrender, people misinterpret that for defeat. People misinterpret it as something complicated when it is literally just a being. It's a presence. It's a softened breath. It's a moment of presence with yourself. Soften into the now. Nothing forced. Nothing pushed up against. And you're going to find you don't want to use words so much. As you come into this new era, you're going to want to just be a whole lot more. In the mind, a whole lot less. There's no need for you to stop that process. It is part of your accessing of the higher mind that's coming online right now. Oh, this is a big one. Point number 5, rogue energies. Point number 5 is about us becoming aware of the invisible, because that is what the ether is. The etheric realm is the invisible realm, and it is the realm that the false matrix has occupied. And it's been the base of the false matrix from which it inserted all of its malevolence and all of its mimicry and all of its control and all of its dominance and all of its overwriting and overriding our own nature that we're only now just getting access to. So what's going to happen as we delve into this month of ether and unveiling of the ether, what we're going to start seeing is the unseen, the things we couldn't see before, and we're going to become more aware of the rogue signals that live in the unseen, be it EMFs, electromagnetic frequencies, be it cell phone towers, be it the toxic negativity of people in your surrounds, all of that bombardment, all of that energetic bombardment. It's like the air has been infused with this strong, rogue, interfering energy. And you might hear that and go, wow, Kerry, you paint a really fearful picture. That's because I haven't yet told you about point number 6. And point number 6 is the answer. It's the solution, and it's you. It's using everything that you're learning about now in the previous points, the coming into light, the being with light, the softening into light, the activating of your true inner senses and the true inner being coming online. As all of that occurs right now, you sit with the answer in your hands, and it's the realization, I never had to defend myself from all of those external signals. Those rogue signals were never my enemy. They never stood a chance when my light was lit. When I became the power that I am. when I ignited that light. And you don't even have to ignite it fully, understand it fully. You just have to begin the process of connecting into the depth of who you are. And when that occurs, you become the harmonic. That light that you are, it doesn't override the dark that is. It doesn't override the rogue signals from around you. It harmonizes them. You're a master of frequency, a wielder of energy and light and sound and vibration. This is your nature, but you only become potent in that field when you acknowledge and feel yourself in that realm as we're entering into now in the month of July. So it's a big turning point for us. This is where we stop hiding from the dark, stop running, stop protecting, stop shielding, and start glowing and start radiating. And it's okay if it's a gradual process, but the start is here now. This is where you start to shine, baby, shine as the light that you came here to be. And that's why you came here. You came here knowing that you were going to face all of these rogue signals. You knew that that was going to happen, but you also knew that your light was the remedy. And the edge of your light is a source field. And that source field protects you. And it surrounds you and it covers you in this perpetual field of protection that is not infused with barbed wire. It is simply infused with cosmic light, and anything in the presence of that cosmic light becomes harmonized. This is the big one, huh? Point number 7. This is the doomsday timeline and this quiet shift that we've had. But I want to explain this, and I want you to understand it deeply, powerfully, and fully. We were headed to what I'm calling a doomsday timeline, which was bound to have happened round about the middle of 2025. This is where we were going to go into a doomsday timeline that would have basically made a light timeline or a higher timeline inaccessible for a couple of years. This would have been a very serious setback. And when I talk about a doomsday timeline, I'm talking about a world war scenario or a mass famine or a mass disaster of some sort that would affect everyone, not just a small country here and a country there. Everybody was supposed to be affected by it, and we were supposed to be plunged into darkness. This is what we, the light workers, have averted. This is the timeline that we have shifted. So disaster has been averted, but how deeply have we averted it? How fully have we averted it? From where we're sitting right now, that timeline is highly, highly malleable. However, it's already shifted away from that doomsday scenario. Now, that doesn't mean it won't still be bumpy. It certainly can still be bumpy. It certainly can still be turbulent. But if we were able to see the turbulence that we have sidestepped, we will take a mass collective sigh of relief and celebrate light workers. Well done, babies. Well done, because we averted that horror that we were headed for. And what's facilitated that is each light worker beginning the process of leading themselves in some small way and others in a very big way. It's the moment where we stop blaming the external world for being bad creators of our reality. It's the world where we stop empowering the governments, the politicians, the lawmakers, the decision makers to be our personal spokespeople for reality. We begin to realize our light. We begin to self-realize our peace and our love, and we live in that field, and we don't wait for anybody else to change. We meet ourselves there. When that happens, to any degree, we become a part of the timeline shift. And as we become a part of the timeline shift, and we can from here shift further, we can from here shift deeper, we can from here shift not just away from a doomsday timeline, but into a light-infused one, a harmonic the likes of which we never imagined that we would be able to achieve and receive now. 2025 has numerous years worth of information and learning bundled up into one small field of time. So a year is a time field, but infused into the 2025 time field, especially this last part of 2025, there are numerous years here. So this is a quantum jump away from the doomsday timeline into a lighter, but how light? A lighter timeline, but how light? How many miracles? How much love are we capable of not just giving, but receiving? How many miracles not are we able to ask for, but are we able to receive? How many miracles are we able to witness in the world around us with celebration? Not caring whether there are miracles or somebody else's, just that there are miracles. How much will our compassion and our authenticity and our truth become the light that leads our own lives? That's all, just our own lives. And in leading our own lives, the timeline is led by light. We're just at that tipping point, but how much further beyond the tipping point are we going to go? I say we find out together. I'll be back with more energy updates. Make sure you've subscribed and liked and drop me a comment. I'd love to hear from you. I know I don't get to answer them all, but I read as many of them as I can. And I send you guys so much love. Do you know that? I often lie with my phone. I have this gorgeous beanbag in front of my fireplace, and I lie on my phone on my beanbag, just bathing in the light and the glow of the fire. And I send you guys so much love. You send me so much love. In the comments, so often, there's these little messages of thank you, Carrie, and I love you, Carrie, and you've done something for me, and whatever it might be. There's moments where you're celebrating your triumphs with me. I read your messages and I send you so much invisible love. And right now, I hope that you feel that love because it comes from my heart. All the way to yours. Now, if you have felt like the odd one out in your life, if you have felt like the outsider, if you have felt like the outcast, if you have felt that no matter how big that group of friends is, you're always the odd one on the outside looking in, maybe you don't catch the jokes, or maybe you're trying to, but you don't find them as funny as everybody else does. Whatever it is, if you have felt like the black sheep, watch this video next. From my heart, all the way to yours. So much love.